Thank you very much. It's great to be in Bellevue at the Meydenbauer Center. This is the third and final stop of this KIRO Radio on tour. We started in Tacoma, we went up to Everett, and now we're in Bellevue. Woo! Great things come in threes. There's a Latin saying, omni trium perfectum, which means everything that comes in threes is perfect. Which is pretty deep, right? Yeah, so think about it though. 3 stooges, 3 wise men, and 12 other people. Oh! I'll let you sort it out. Yeah. So tonight, let's hope the third time's the charm. We are really excited to be here tonight, excited to answer your questions and to meet you and talk to you, take pictures afterwards. And we're going to have some fun, as you can see. And we want to raise a little money and awareness for a special charity called Fisher House. So what we're going to do is we're going to split up into 3 groups tonight so we can sit down and really get to know some of these talent, and so the rest of them can be backstage making fun of the people on stage. So at this time, I'm going to dismiss most of the group. But please welcome to the stage from Ross and Burbank, Dave Ross and Luke Burbank. From the Dory Monson Show, Dory Monson, Ursula Reuting, John Curley from the John Curley Show, and news anchor Dan Mitchinson. So I'll just say that we're accepting your questions through the evening. In your program, you should have received a little white card here that you can fill out, and there'll be people collecting those through the night. If you're Twittering tonight, use the hashtag KIRO Tour, and that way we can help track it, and we'll retweet you. So I'm going to start with Dave Ross.
Yes.
Dave Ross.
What is it, Larry? What now?
We were just commenting backstage. Give this man he's on his vacation this week.
Yes.
And they just announced it as the worst vacation ever.
Well, yes, pretty much.
So Dave graduated from Cornell. He's been doing radio since he was 15 years old. He joined KIRO in 1978. Started hosting a daily talk show 25 years ago.
Luke would have been 1, right?
Yeah. How did you end up at KIRO, Dave?
How did I get, I'm sorry.
How did you end up at KIRO?
How did I end up at KIRO? I've been working in Atlanta for 4.5 years and had to get out of the South as quickly as possible.
Were you running from the law?
Yeah. I sent out resumes. As it was getting near graduation from college, I realized at some point I would have to make a living because unlike now, my parents were not going to be welcoming me back, even if I lived in the basement. And so I started panicking and sent out like 110 resumes. I started with, NBC, CBS, ABC. That did not work out. Walter Cronkite apparently was working out for CBS. And I got.
And this was back when you sent resumes out via smoke signal, right?
Pretty much.
So a lot of that was probably
right
lost
on parchment. Right. Yeah. And I got 2 offers. One was a part-time job in Pontiac, Michigan. The other was a full-time job in Atlanta, so I took the job in Atlanta. 4.5 years later, we were the homicide capital of the world down there, which was great for the news business, but not for a family. So I said, let's move out to a place with snow-capped mountains. And I sent out another 110 resumes, and I got an offer from KIRO. And I have been unable to get them to fire me.
Luke, a mere 30 years later, you arrived. Luke,
at the station, not in the world.
Yeah.
It was a long gestation.
You joined KIRO in 2008. You grew up in Green Lake, Nathan Hale High School grad, went to UW. Also the host of an incredibly popular podcast, TBTL.
This is the second one of these I've been to, and each time they've mentioned TBTL, people have clapped, and the other people at the radio station have looked at me with huge surprise. You guys, the fact that it's so shocking to you is hurtful to me. What do you think I'm doing in that studio every afternoon at 2 o'clock?
Luke doesn't think I listen to the show, so who here listens to Dave and Luke? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to need you to open your suit jacket.
Yes, okay.
There's nothing in there?
I got in trouble for sneaking a beer on stage in Everett.
All right.
Today, seriously, Larry came up to me and said, I thought it was a dress code question. He goes, "Are you wearing a jacket tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm, going to try to look classy." And he goes, "Okay, I'm doing a pocket check before because last time I had a beer in one of them."
Sunday, anybody catch Luke on CBS Sunday Morning? How's that come about? How do those commentaries come about for you?
I sometimes go to Chicago and work on a show that will not be mentioned because it might be on a different station in Seattle. But I was back there and I was hanging out with a guy named Mo Rocca, who is from The Daily Show and CBS TV. And I was joking around in the green room with him about how I think in this society we need less self-esteem and more vanity, because we think we want to teach kids self-esteem, but self-esteem is what tells you it's okay to wear shorts to your kid's, wedding or something. And like, nobody went to the gym at 6 in the morning because of self-esteem. They went because of vanity. And so I was joking around this with Mo, and he said, "Oh, that would be a great commentary for CBS." And he put me in touch with those people, and they liked it, and they started having me do them. And so now I'm doing those, which is. But first of all, it really puts you in your place as a radio person when you do something that's on television, because you realize what people are really doing, which is watching television most of the time. Because like my mom emailed me and was like, "I saw you on TV. Like I didn't even know that you were still in Seattle."
Ursula Reutin, you hear her 9 to 3 anchoring the news on both Dory's show and Ross and Burbank. Ursula was born in the Philippines and has lived all over the world. She joined KIRO after graduating from the University of Oregon in 1988.
Yeah! Thank you. I apologize. I married a Husky, so I'm not all bad.
Ursula, how did you get your start at KIRO?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
How did you get your start at KIRO?
I had a good friend. So I graduated from U of O, and I actually was working in radio in Eugene, Oregon, and a friend of mine got a job at KIRO, and she said there is a job opening at KIRO. It's the 2 a.m. opening. You get paid nothing, but I think you'd like it. And so, I applied, and I have been there ever since. So that was 23 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 24. And I always say, as long as I've been at KIRO, think about this. Dave's been there 10 years longer.
You just keep reminding me.
Dory Monson grew up on the mean streets of Ballard. Dory entered college at the age of 15. As a student at UW, he used to call play-by-play. He was a sports producer at King TV, a reporter at King Radio with Pat Cashman. He came with Pat to KIRO in 1994. 6 months later, he, and this is his words, not mine, weaseled his way into his own show. How did that happen?
Well, KIRO bought King Radio, and I'd been a producer at King 5. They bought King Radio. They wanted Pat Cashman to be on what was then KIRO FM. It later became The Buzz. And Pat was very good to me, and he said, "I want to bring my buddy Dory over." And then I just stabbed him in the back once he did that. And I did. I weasel, and this is going to be hard for you to believe, because now I never, Larry will attest to this, I never talk to managers.
No.
But back then, I was hungry, I was 32 years old, and I'd never done a talk show. And we had a program director who he and I became very good friends. We're still very close friends to this day. And it's kind of a funny story, and Dave can attest to this, because Dave was the noon to 3 host.
Yep.
And they had a Seattle institution, 9 to noon, named Jim French, who I'm sure some of you will remember. And then they got rid of Jim French, and they hired a guy named Lee Rogers. And Lee, and you can probably speak to this better than I can, Dave. Lee hated Seattle, and Seattle hated Lee. And it just wasn't working out. And so I'd go to the program director and say, "Hey, why don't you give me that show? I can do that show. Give me that show." And here's the way I look at it. Remember when Jane Pauley left the Today Show? And they brought in Deborah Norville. And everybody hated Deborah Norville. And then they brought in perky little Katie Couric. And everybody loved Katie because she wasn't Deborah Norville. That's the way I looked at myself. I'm Katie Couric. Lee Rogers was Deborah Norville. He's the guy who replaced the institution, Jane Pauley. And so I was at the right place at the right time, and I weaseled my way into the show, and I've been fooling managers for 18 years ever since.
And he, too, like Katie Couric, doesn't like to be called perky. Dan Mitchinson is the news anchor for the John Curley Show. He grew up in San Diego, has been working in radio since he was 16 years old. Dan, I feel like when I listen to John's show, you're like the voice of reason, and you're like, I don't believe that story. Do you
He's
remember
the BS meter.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time that you went, hold on, no, stop the show?
It was when he came in and he was still filling in and he was wearing nothing but spandex, and he was standing up in front of us like this. And I was sort of at eye level, and I said, you know, this isn't something I really want to look at during a 3-minute newscast.
I was riding my bike and I had a flat tire.
But after that?
I didn't have any clothes.
That was our first awkward pause of the evening, by the way.
John
But it won't be the
Curley.
last.
John Curley is the host of the John Curley Show.
Yeah, you're all such huge fans. You're missing it right now.
Yeah. He was the MVP of his 6th grade football team.
Yes.
He was 2 years older and twice as tall as everybody else because he flunked 4th grade twice.
Yes. Two good things happen when you fail 4th grade twice. One, when you get to 8th grade, you can park wherever you'd like. Because you're not battling any real other 8th graders for a parking spot. And 2, Larry, I know you didn't ask, but these are the 2 jokes I have loaded in the chamber. That your ability to grow a beard guarantees that you play Joseph in the Christmas pageant, and if the nuns let you keep going, you are Jesus on the cross at Easter. True.
So I read on...
True, Dan. True story.
True story. True story.
I read on mynorthwest.com today.
It is John Curley week all this week.
Yeah, that you...
Please, it's become way too commercialized.
You've
Go ahead.
announced your death for June 30th, 2022.
That's right. I'll be dead in 10 years if Dory doesn't kill me sooner with that last story. Yeah, 10 years
What's
from
that
now.
about?
I realized that I'm better with deadlines. That's why I used to do all my homework on the bus. I needed a deadline, and 10 years from now seemed like a good amount of time. And it's very freeing until Dan comes in every day and gives me the time and tells me 9 years, 362
days, give or take a couple of weeks.
I don't want to hear that. Just 10 years from now, and if I'm not dead in 2022, it'll be a big relief for everybody. But if I am dead, they're like, wow, that was crazy. He predicted his death in 10 years.
So you're doing this to seize the moment.
And I have to tell you, I'm living more in the moment. I'm looking forward to hear more about Dave Ross's career 30 years ago.
So what about now forced you to do this?
Why now?
Yeah, why now?
Only because I was so busy with so much stuff that I thought I would start to peel back on a whole bunch of things. And the deadline does work. And it literally is a deadline 10 years from now, June 30th, 2022, gone.
But there's a birthday coming up, too.
That is his birthday, June 30th.
And since you like to do
How old
everything...
is
Well,
he?
because
Big
I'm 50
birthday.
and I'll be 60, that's what it is.
He's going to be 50.
50. What do you think? Can we wish him happy birthday?
No,
Can we
it's only-
sing him happy birthday
No, Dan,
tonight?
no. It's only
it would
because
be a
my
favor
teeth,
to me.
I have the teeth of an 11-year-old, but I have the face.
Dr.
All
Rice
right,
4.
Dan wants to sing happy birthday.
No.
Who wants to
Here,
sing
here,
happy
here,
birthday?
take out- I'll
John
take out
doesn't
one of my
have.
teeth.
It's the only... Don't do that. Oh, don't do that. Oh. He just took out a tooth.
That's the worst Dr. Rice sport ad you've ever done.
Piece of black tape. Anybody can do that trick. Got it right here.
All right, Dave and Dory, this question's for you. We've talked a lot about your longevity here. Most radio hosts across the country don't have the option of staying at a station as long as you guys have.
Right.
What's the secret?
You first.
No, that's the secret. You first.
There's only one secret. You got to get listeners. I mean, it's these people right here are the secret. Because, and seriously, I mean, radio is, it's kind of like pro sports, where if you don't produce, you're gone. And there's no sentimentality. Management does not feel any great affection for any of us, believe me. This is where you disagree with me, Larry.
Well, that's true, Larry. That is true.
This is where you jump in and say, no, you got a job for life, Monson.
I love you, Dory.
Yeah, right. No, if you don't get listeners, you are going to be gone very, very soon. That is the only secret to success in broadcasting is you have to find ways to attract people to the radio station. That is it. That's all there is to it.
My secret was running for office. By the end of the 5 months, they were so desperate to have me back, they offered me employment for life if I promised never to run for anything again.
Who took over your show while you were running for office?
I don't remember.
About 10 different people.
Ursula, how has covering the news evolved since you have arrived at KIRO?
It's changed quite a bit. I mean, the news is the news, but when I first started, it was very straightforward. We wouldn't share a lot of our I don't want to say feelings, but I mean, we would be just, we tell you the news and that's it. Now I think we're, freer to share a lot more of ourselves too. The technology has changed incredibly. When I first started, we still had reel-to-reel machines and cart machines and our cell phones. We did have cell phones when I first started, but they were huge. And now everything is so much quicker. There are so many more sources for our news and information. So I think that in that way it's changed quite a bit.
And let me jump in on that because, I just think the world of Ursula. And I'll give you a perfect example today where Ursula does the newscast, which she's always awesome at. But we also had a topic where I thought Ursula and I would have some shared experience about when we have had a lapse as a parent. And I talked about leaving my kid in a grocery store. And Ursula talked about leaving her son in a car while they were, within eyesight of it, but somebody called the cops on them. And,
Okay, wait. Yeah, we never went in the store.
It has a happy ending.
It was a NASCAR.
The story had a happy ending.
So that was dangerous.
Wait a minute.
20 years ago, a host never would have brought a news anchor in because the news anchor was just straightforward and objective, and they were just there to deliver the news. And and Ursula is great at that, but she's so much more than that, and she's just become a huge part of the show where we interact on our topics. And that would have been unthinkable even 10 years ago, much less 20.
Right, because I feel like you couldn't be as human. Yeah, so we couldn't share those kinds of stories.
Dan, have you ever had an Anchorman Ron Burgundy moment?
Yeah, in addition to radio, I've also worked in television and news and weather. And remember in Anchorman where he says, "I'm Ron Burgundy?" And somebody said, "Who put a question mark in there after his name?" Well, we were jumping in for the 8:25 cut-ins that they do between the Today Show and the local newscast right there, and the anchor I was working with didn't show up, so I was 15 seconds to go and said, "Okay, you got to get in there," and I'm doing a cold read, so I jump in there, I get my mic on, and I say,
They always
really?
They always
Really?
break.
The KIRO Radio on Tour tradition continues.
Always breaks. Always breaks. Don't feel bad.
Nice.
Don't
Stop
feel
moving
bad.
so much.
I don't feel so safe in this chair.
Wish
Yeah.
Jake was here for that.
And just as the light goes on, I say, "Good morning, it's 8:25, I'm Laura Evans." And I stopped, and I stopped, and I got a smile, I started laughing, I said, "No, I'm not." So it's true, whatever's written in the teleprompter, most of us really read it. Yeah, so it's not a myth.
Megan Black.
Hey, Luke, you've been going solo this week since Dave's on vacation. How's that different than when you're co-hosting with Dave?
It's interesting. I've been thinking about that a lot this week because before, like when Dave used to do the show solo, I would sometimes fill in for him, and it was just kind of the way that the show worked. It'd be one person talking about the news, and it seemed like very normal. But since Dave and I have done it together, I have realized this week, all corniness aside, that I really miss having him there.
I knew it.
I mean that. I really mean it. Like
I could hear it, couldn't you? Can't you hear
Yeah.
it? The sadness in his voice when he opens the mic.
I'm not kidding. Like, because I think that what I like about talk radio, and the reason that I listen to KIRO when I'm not there, and the reason why I've always been a fan of talk radio in my life is for me actually the companionship, because I'm a deeply lonely person, and I like the idea of a couple people who really like and respect each other, kind of talking through the news and their lives and their experiences. And this week doing it by myself has been interesting because this is the way, even now, that most talk radio works on every other station in Seattle and in most other stations in the country. And I kind of, I feel like it works better when it's me and Dave, or when, you know, there are a couple people that are just having, again, a respectful, it doesn't have to be an argument, it doesn't have to be Hannity and Combs or something, but I really like that. To be honest with you, last week I was ready to just, you know, slip something into Dave's hot water that he drinks every day because that's apparently how he unwinds, is he drinks warm water during the show. But this week I've really been I've been struck by how much more fun it is when he's around. So there you go.
I just noticed I tuned in today and heard about 2 minutes of someone being spanked repeatedly.
Yeah.
That was only because producer Andrew was not pulling his weight
I see.
on the show.
It's really strange for me to hear you say that, because I think a show with just one person's opinion is awesome.
Me too. Me too.
As long as it's the right opinion.
Yeah, Dory, I couldn't agree with you more. I find the two voices to be very annoying.
But the dirty little secret about what you, Dory, and what you, John, are doing is, Dory, you were pointing out this great conversation you had today with Ursula, and I was listening to John last night, hearing him talk to Owen, his producer, and Sarah, and Dan, and I think that even the shows where maybe there's one person's picture on the website, those are still collaborative in a way that, for me, is the real joy of these shows, is hearing the hosts interact with other people, whether they're other hosts officially or whether they're the traffic person. It could be anybody. I love that interaction.
I just want to make sure that it's just my name on the show. That's all I do.
I just want to say we have the confidence to do our show as equal partners.
John Curley, what is the one story you've told about yourself that even you don't believe?
I have told so many.
But really.
I have to say that, you know, somebody asked me that earlier. Some guy was drinking a ton of wine earlier. And I said, Dan, what I always tell you, it's like, what do we say? It's an apple from the tree.
That's right.
And we take the apple, I shine it up, and then I share the apple. So sometimes I shine it so much there's really no apple left. And I know that Don O'Neill will come out here and say, yeah, Curly says, this is not a lie. And then as soon as he says that, that's when the lying starts. So, it's true. I don't know. I mean, and whenever the rule is that Dan has a white flag, literally has a white flag in the studio. So whenever he feels that there's absolutely no credibility to the story, no veracity whatsoever, there's not an air pocket of truth, he throws down the white flag, can challenge the story, and then I'm allowed to get one person on the air to back me up.
And that happened last night.
Last night, because 4 weeks ago, we used to eat food out of my mother's clavicle was the story, and Dan's like, I'm sorry, I just don't believe you ate food from your mother's clavicle. I mean, who has, can't see, it's dark in there, but a house lights up. Who hasn't eaten food out of their mother's clavicle? Where are you? Where are you? Screw you, bunch of liars. Anyway, so I got my mom on the phone, and I said, and she verified it, but then Dad's like, I don't believe your mother. But anyway, we got Mom on the phone last night. I stole $3,000 worth of silver from her, and it was...
That story was true.
Right.
But the clavicle story, as your mom said, that never happened.
We put food in her clavicle.
We put a single pea in the clavicle. We took it out. We didn't eat dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, which is what John said. Yeah.
And also, John, your mom sounded weirdly like Ursula on the phone, which I thought was suspicious.
Well, as Dory said earlier, it's good to have Ursula's involvement in the show. Yeah. Now, I can't remember any of them offhand right now, besides I don't want to incriminate myself.
Dave Ross, here's a question from Nace in Seattle. Do you actually like Luke, or do you just pretend because you have to?
There's a technique in acting called method acting. I haven't had a third party independently research whether we have a genuine affection for each other. But I can tell you that if I had to be locked in a studio for 3 hours with anybody, I'm glad it's Luke. He is I kind of think of him as the son I might have had.
If you were cooler.
Right. If I had been just a little bit cooler.
Wait,
and
Dave,
he'd
how
been
about
raised by
me? How
somebody
about
else.
me down here this end? Because sometimes when Luke's not there, you and I kicking it back and forth, old school.
What about?
Never mind.
What are you talking about?
I thought you liked your own show.
I do, but I fill in for a lot of people because your bench is so
Which
thin.
is the hardest show to fill in on?
Who's the hardest?
Yeah, what's the hardest show to fill in on?
Ron and Don show.
Why?
No, because you don't really fill in. You just stand there and just smell Don's breath.
Hey, Dory, here's a question from Doug in Puyallup. Tell your Reggie Jackson autographed baseball story.
Reggie Jackson?
That's what it says.
I've got a Reggie Jackson baseball story.
I'm out of white flags. I'm out of white flags.
Okay, after the show, talk to Dory, and he'll tell you it in person.
You stumped him.
Wow. Yeah, I don't have
that's okay. It was a great story. You should
One
look
might
into it.
think
Yeah.
these questions were
Hey, Dave.
pre-planned.
Yeah, if I was Curly, I would have jumped in with a great story right
Yeah.
there, but I don't have a Reggie Jackson
All right.
autograph.
Hey, Dave Ross, when is your next Gilbert and Sullivan performance?
I'm so glad you asked, Larry.
Dave asked that.
It's called Iolanthe, opening July 13th at the Bag the Right Theater, Seattle Center. There are mailers in the back for any of you. And if you go to my Facebook page, there's a special discount for Ross and Burbank listeners when you buy tickets through Brown Paper Tickets.
Has everybody here seen Dave perform? Would you like to? Hey, Dave, how about a song? Look, he didn't even hesitate.
If I had been so lucky as to have a steady brother who could talk to me as we are talking now to one another, who could give me good advice when discovered I was erring, which is just the very favor which on you I am conferring, my existence would have made a rather interesting, yet I might have lived and died a very decent individual. This particularly rapid and intelligible patter isn't generally heard, and if it is, it doesn't matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Ross, Luke Burbank, Ursula Reuting, Dory Monson, Dan Mitchinson, and John Curley. So one of the really big reasons we're here tonight is to help raise money and awareness for a charity called Fisher House. And we'll be auctioning off 6 special experiences tonight to benefit the Fisher House. But before we do that, I want to introduce the Vice President of Bonneville, Seattle, and the General Manager of 97.3 KIRO FM, Mr. Carl Gardner.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who took your time to come out and be with us tonight. It's so, it's very humbling for us actually that you would take the time and would also spend the, $10 and whatever it takes to get down here to spend some time and to meet us and to listen to what our people have to say. I'd like to talk to you about that $10 for a minute and where it's going. And there were some people who said to us, well, gee, why would you charge us to come out and see your people? Well, it's the proceeds from your ticket are going tonight to benefit a project that is very near and dear to our hearts at KIRO and at Bonneville, Seattle, our company here that operates KIRO and our 2 other radio stations. We're working with a group called the Fisher House Foundation. And I don't know whether you are familiar at all with Fisher House. I'd like to just take a minute and talk to you about them and what they do and the reason why we're working with them. They came to us last year and they asked us for their help to build a Fisher House at Joint Base Lewis McChord down in Pierce County. And honestly, they came to us and several of us, myself included, said, what is a Fisher House? We had no idea. So if you don't know, don't feel ashamed. I'm going to explain it to you. Fisher House, the best way I can describe it to you, is Ronald McDonald House for the families of wounded soldiers. Yes. We have a tremendous number of military people in uniform here in the Puget Sound area. We have over 60,000 people in uniform here in our area. And a lot of them, we have the largest military base on the West Coast now at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Pierce County, including huge numbers of Army Stryker brigades who have been one of the primary active elements on the ground in Afghanistan for more than 10 years. And now, thank the Lord, and if everything goes well, a lot of those guys are going to be continuing to come home over the next year or two. And thank you. And a lot of them have a tough road ahead of them. A lot of them have physical injuries. A lot of them have physical rehabilitation they need to go through. And what happens, what we've learned, we've had a chance to meet a number of soldiers who have been wounded, who have had the benefit of Fisher houses various places around the country. The family will get the phone call out of nowhere and say, your husband, your father, your son, your daughter, your wife has been injured and is in the hospital and is in such and such condition. And the person or the family needs to drop everything at that moment in time and go. And a lot of times those families, those spouses, a lot of times it's wives with little kids. Often they might be from Georgia, they might be from North Carolina, they might be from Texas, and the soldier is based here in Tacoma, Washington. They take the soldier and they put them not where they came from, but they put them where their unit is based. So a lot of the soldiers, when they have been injured, are coming back here to Madigan Hospital at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Pierce County. And the people have to drop everything that they're doing and come and stay and be at the bedside while that soldier is going through rehabilitation. Sometimes we've learned as much as 12, 15 months. They set their entire life aside and they come. So what Fisher House does is it provides a safe house. It provides a place that those families can live. It provides a place where they can be with other families of other soldiers in similar situations. It provides common areas where they can cook meals, where they can sit and live as a family and spend the time that they have to spend while they have their loved one in the hospital. So needless to say, it's a very, very worthy cause. We have committed to help the Fisher House Foundation build a newer, larger Fisher House at Joint Base Lewis McChord. They have one of the first ones ever built in the country, very, very small one, built in 1993. It's full all the time, waiting list, people who can't get in, people who are literally trying to find a motel room, sleeping in the car in the parking lot at Madigan Hospital. And they want to build a nice, new, large, 20-room Fisher House at Joint Base Lewis McChord. So our commitment at Bonneville, Seattle is we're going to help you to raise the profile of Fisher House, talk to groups of people like this, tell the story of Fisher House, and try to help you raise money and raise friends in the Puget Sound area. So tonight, the proceeds from the ticket sales go to Fisher House, and also we've got a few auction items that we're going to get into right now to try to help raise additional funds. So thank you for your patience. Sorry for the long-winded remarks, but we think it's a story that is worth telling, and we are very grateful to you for making your small contribution to that charitable project. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. So far through the KIRO Radio on Tour, we've raised over $26,000, and we'll add whatever we make tonight to that total. Tonight, our auctioneer, you're in for a real treat, Mr. John Curley.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, everybody. Hey. So what is the first item, Larry? What is first item, just so I know? Is it Seahawks Experience? Seahawks Experience.
Let me read it for you. Let me read it. A pair of club-level tickets to the Seahawks versus the Vikings game on November 4th, 2012, an autographed Cam Chancellor helmet, 2 passes for complimentary wine tastings at 25 Western Washington wineries.
All right, here we go. Say what? Let me just let you know. I do 100 auctions a year. About 5 years ago, King Television, my brother, who is my agent and my attorney came to me and he said, by the way, I got good news and bad news. Good news is, well, I said, give me the bad news. He said, bad news is you're going to lose your job in about 4 years. I said, what's the good news? Well, the good news is, he said, I'm an attorney. I still have a job, and I can hold that over to your head. So King TV gave me an opportunity to pursue other interests and spend more time with my family, and I thought I better come up with something, so I came up with this because I had the ability to speak fast. So I do 100 auctions a year. Helped raise $2.3 million for local charities, and we'll do some money raising right now. So let's sell item number 1. This is the Seahawks Experience. By the way, if you want to bid, everybody's got a bid card, right? Everybody has a bid card. And it's fun because a good auctioneer can tell the A bidder from the B bidder. A bidder is the person who's going to win. The B bidder is the person who will not win, but will cause the A bidder to pay $100 more than they planned on paying. So I will help out the B bidder. This is illegal in most states, but what I'm going to do for you, if you are the B bidder, and I sense that the A bidder's got a little bit more money than the A bidder is letting on, I'm going to give the B bidder $100 to stay in. The A bidder gets really mad, but normally they're so frantic. The fact that they're spending so much money, they don't even realize it's happening. I'm just warning you that ahead of time. Here we go. This is the Seahawks experience. This is going to be your chance. This is the club level ticket. Seahawks against the Vikings. Seahawks against the Vikings coming up on November 4th. Plus, you're going to get an autographed helmet, which you can wear in the car. That way you don't have to wear your seatbelt. And you're going to get 2 passes, complimentary wine tasting. Wine tasting, by the way, they used to call it tying one on. Now they call it wine tasting. Here we go. Here comes item number 1, Seahawks experience against the Vikings. 100, you get a 100, you get a $100. You get a 100, 100, you get a 100. Now you get a 100 here. 100, you get a 2. This tells me a lot about you, sir. 100, you get a 2, you get a 200. Got 200, you get a 2. 2, you get a 3. 300, you get a $400. Here's my B bidder. 300, you get a 4. You get a 400. 4 to the back, you get a 5. 500, you get a 600. You get a 600. At 5, really out so soon. Out so soon. About to lose to a chick. You're going to lose to a chick. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Next item you're going to want to bid on is a pair of men's pants. 400, you get a 5. 400, you get a 5. 400, you get a 5. 5 to the back and 5 to the back and 600. How? I got 5, you get a 600. 600, you get a 600. At 600, you get a 7. How now? 700, you get a 7. Now you get a 7. 600, you get a 7. 7, you get a 800 now. Bid $800. $800. 7, you get a 800. Bid $800. 7, you get a 800. I'll help you out. I'll give you $100. 800, you get a 9, 900 to the back, 800, you get a 9 to the back, 9 to the back, 9 to the back, 9 to the back, 850, 850, 850, 850, 850, 850, $850. Don't lose this experience for $850. 800, you get 850, 850, 850, 850, 850, 850. Once, twice to everybody else in, once, twice to everybody else in, so to the back at 850. Good job, goodbye. Yeah, wow. See how that worked? I knew you didn't really want to go. I know, your attitude, I could tell. But $100 to you, and then to him, see we did that? The old Scrooge-a-Roogie on him. All right, here we go.
Seattle's morning news experience.
Oh, this is number 2, Seattle morning news experience. This is your opportunity to be able to travel I-5, 405, I-90 or 520 at 3 in the morning and realize there's no traffic. It's really amazing. So this is Seattle Morning News experience for you here. This is your chance to see how these guys do it. You don't have to come in at 3 in the morning and have that nauseous feeling in your stomach all day long. You can come in anytime you want between 5 o'clock and just a little before 9 before Ross and Burbank roll into the studio, and the entire studio is filled with the smell of stale whiskey. Here we go. This is your opportunity. This is Seattle Morning's News. Ready to go? Set. 100, 100, you get a $100. 100, you get a 100, you get a 200 and 2 in the back. I got 200, you get a 3. Got 200, you get a $300. I got 200, you get a 3, you get a 300, you get a 300, now 250. At 200, now 250. 250, you get a 250 now. At 200, you get a 250, you get a 250. 200, you get a 250. 250, you get a 200, you get a 250. Once, twice, everybody else in. 250 here. Wow, right down front. 250, give me your card, I'll bid for you. I'm a professional. 200, you get a 50. $300, you get a 300, you get a 300 in the back. And 300 in the back, you get a 300 in the back. 250, you get a 300, 300, you get a 300. Once, twice, everybody else in. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Once in a lifetime experience until we do this again next year. Once, twice, everybody else in. Go! 300 here. 300 in a 4. Got 300 in a 4. Got 400 here. And now 5 in the back. 4 to get a 5. Now you get a 500. 500, you get a $500. I got 4 to get a 500. 500, you get a $500 now. Once, twice, everybody else in. Right here. $400. Ready. Sold it. Got it. $400. Good job. Good bidding. Goodbye.
The Ross and Burbank experience.
Oh, the Ross and Burbank experience. Here we go. Dave Ross, Luke Burbank. No mic for you. No mic for you. It's in the contract. Nobody talks when I have the mic.
Hello? Hello? Sorry, Dave was worried his TiVo wasn't going to record Matlock, so he had to go real quick, but he will be there when you come to watch us do the show.
Here we go. Here we go. Ready?
This is supposed to help.
How much to make that stop? I'm in for like 100.
Here we go. Ready? 100, 100, you get a 100, you get a bid 2, 200, you get a bid 3, 300, you get a 4, $400 here. I got 3, you get a 400, 400, you get a $400. I got 3, you get a $400. Not looking at me anymore, weird. 400, 4, bid 5 now. 400, you get a 5, you get a 500. At 4, bid 5, you get a $500. I got 4, 500 here. 5, you get a bid 600. I got 5, you get a bid 600. Cut 5, you get a bid $600. I got 500, you get a bid $600. I got 500, you get a 550. You get a bid 550. 550 here. You get a bid 600 now. 600, you get a 650. Now you get a bid $650 now. 600, bid 650, 650 now. Now you get a bid 650, 650. Good bid, 650 here. Now $700. 650, you get a bid 700. You get a bid 7 now. At 650, you get a bid 7. You get a bid 7.
Now, can I throw one thing in? Can we stop the music for a second?
Stop the music one second.
I don't want to. We have at KIRO in the sort of KIRO kitchen some of the worst coffee known to man.
True.
And tonight, if you win this, we will promise to give you a cup of it when you come to watch Ross in Burbank. So, I mean, that's priceless, essentially.
But I'll promise to also to throw in chocolate chip cookies. Wow. I can make some pretty good cookies.
Look at that. I think that's
So
that's
you'll have the
1,000.
coffee
Is that 1,000 right
Bring the music
there?
back up. Good. No, sick. No, 700. There's 700. You get a bid 800 now. 700 bid 750. 700 now. 750. You get a bid 750. 750 here. Now you get a bid $800. 750. You get a bid $800. At 750, you get a bid $800. Coffee and cookies. 750. You get 800. 800. 800. You get a bid $800. At 750, you get a bid $800. Once, twice. Everybody else said, sure. You'll get a chance to see these guys in action some other time when you become an intern. 800, you get 850 now. 800, get 850, 850, 850 now. 800, but 850, 850. Let me tell you this right now. Dave Ross is an old man. He won't be around forever. 800, 850, 850, 900, you get him $900. 850, get really, he's on borrowed time. He's on borrowed time. He went home to take a nap. That's where he is now. 850, get a 900, you get him 900, you get him 9 now. Once, twice, anybody else in. Right here. This is your life. This is your experience. It's all yours for $850. Ready, set. Are you drinking a lot? Sold it right there. Good job. Goodbye. Done. $850.
Big round of applause for John Curley.
Thank you.
The Ross and Burbank Show. Luke Burbank.
Now,
Thanks,
please
Ursula.
welcome to the Meydenbauer Center stage the cast and crew of the Ron and Don Show. Sean DeTore, Libby Dinkman, Tony Miner, Rachel Bell, Ron Upshaw, and Don O'Neill. Ron Upshaw was born in Washington State, but spent most of his childhood in New Mexico, which is where he met.
Is this on?
Don.
Check.
Hello.
Wow, wow,
Testable and testing.
wow.
Bass.
Wow, wow, wee wow.
Are we on yet?
Cymbal in my headphones. Bass.
Check.
Check it. Don't wreck it. Check it.
Check it.
All right. What's up, Larry?
1, 2, 3.
How's it going? Oh!
I saw that coming. Who predicted this?
Third
On
crowd in a
Monday.
row, I get this chair. All right.
At least your back's not out or anything.
Good thing is I don't have a bad back and I'm not on pain pills, so that's great.
Dude,
Anyway.
lay off the Funyuns.
You are strong like ox.
All right, so Ron grew up in mostly in New Mexico, where he met Don. You've had stints in San Francisco, Phoenix, Dallas, Grand Rapids, and New Orleans.
In other words, we got fired a lot. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah. Looking back, how would you describe Ron and Don's relationship as kids?
This is to me?
Yeah.
Our relationship as kids, we're 3 years separated, our ages. That's a weird way to say that phrase. So I was actually 3 years younger than me. So until high school, I pretty much got like serious beat downs because that's what you do to kids that are 3 years younger than you. And so a relationship as kids was that. Like I was inferior by age, and so you were picked on.
Let me jump in here.
Ran
Ron
into the
didn't care
ground.
about me. He loved my little sister Colleen. He tried to make out with her a number of times. And then one day they were standing at the humidifier, or you were standing at the
What
heaters at
humidifier?
Hoover Middle School, which were humidifiers, and then you asked her to go with you, right?
That is absolutely true. But she said where, and so that relationship really didn't go anywhere.
So since that day, Ron has promised me he has never kissed my sister, and at the same time, they are pretty flirtatious on Facebook, aren't you?
The only person that's kissed one of your sisters is you. You want to tell that story?
Whoa, yeah, let's hear that one, Don.
I almost kissed Ron's sister, Leslie, one time in a pool, but that's another story for another day. Larry, back to you.
All right, thank you. Don O'Neill was born outside Chicago. In addition to radio moves with Ron, he's pedaled across America, climbed Mount Rainier, raced for a cure, and together Ron and Don have raised hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for causes close to their hearts. How did you guys get into radio?
Whoa. Ron, how did we get into radio? You can probably explain this better than I, because there's a huge lie, and it continues 17 years later. And we still can't believe that we're up on chairs and we're at 97.3 KIRO FM at a celebration. This is unbelievable. What happened exactly?
Well, what it was...
What it is...
Don and I, of course, were friends. And the way that I remember it is we were driving around in a car listening to a certain sports radio host who no longer is in this city that I will not name, but most of you would recognize. And I turned to Don and said, God, this guy can have a radio show. Anybody can have a radio show. And so he's like, I agree. We have a pretty good rapport. So we
You thought to yourself, if Vinny can be on the radio, anyone can be on the radio.
And so, I'm not going to comment on that. I had a digital studio in my house because I would like to play guitar and goof around with music. And so we made a tape on cassette and with a logo and everything. And we said we should be on KJR. We had no idea how radio worked, but I knew a guy that dubbed commercials at Como, and so we took him out to dinner. He's the only guy I knew, and he had a very low-level job at the radio station. And so he's like, you guys are never going to be on the radio because A, you don't have a degree in communication, B, nobody starts in Seattle. You got to move to like the middle of Kalamazoo, Michigan, and start in Market 300. And we're like, well, we don't want to do that. So we took the tape, and Don knew a guy at a gym that happened to own Icon Office Solutions, who owned Gold's Gym at the time as well. And so we gave him the tape, and then he took the tape to the program director of KJR, and he was their largest advertiser. So when he walked through the door, they're like, oh my God, he's going to cancel. And his name was Peter Derricks, and so he gave the guy our tape and said, give these guys a shot. And so the program director called us and brought us into his office, and he said, okay, this is going to be your first and last show because I want to be able to tell our largest advertiser that I did what he asked. And so we did that first show and got a call the next week that said, you guys weren't as bad as I thought you were going to be.
But we got a lot of calls. They said, people absolutely hated you. This is unbelievable. This is great radio. So we're going to do another show next week, see if we can get more people to hate you. And so more and more people hated us over the years, and thus a couple radio stars were born, Larry. That's how it worked.
That's awesome.
And they still hate us 17 years later. Thank you. All right.
Tony Miner grew up in South Seattle. He's Coug. He's also a Seattle radio legend.
Any Huskies in the house?
Hey-o.
That's what I'm talking about.
What? I can't hear that.
So Tony's a radio legend here in Seattle. He's been heard up and down the AM and FM dial. King, KVI, Como, KZOK. 30 years plus of broadcasting. He loves cruising the San Juan Islands in his boat, the Starfire.
Mm-hmm.
He's the captain.
Yes.
How has your time anchoring news over the course of the last 30 years changed?
Well, it's changed completely. I mean, when I first started, there were old UPI and AP machines, and you rip the copy off of that. I mean, that was how you did it. And now you get the news off your phone. So it's absolutely changed completely. And now with all the digital stuff, and we write stories for the internet, and we podcast our shows, and we use Twitter, we use Facebook, and everything's instantaneous. The technical part of it has changed completely. The news part of it, the news really hasn't changed. I mean, news has basically been a chronicle of the successes and failures of humankind. It's always been like that, but it's the kind of stories we cover now and how we cover them on the Ron and Don Show that's really changed. We're looking for interesting, compelling stories that we have some kind of emotional connection to, and because of that, we hope that all of you do too. And so that's completely changed from the old days of rip and read and covering fires and police chases and that sort of stuff.
But
was
Tony
so deep.
did the
Wow.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of radio too.
I
though.
did. I spent 3 lost years at KZOK as one half of the morning show. And John Posey and me, the Oatmeal Buddies. Any Oatmeal Buddies fans out there? Oh, man.
I like oatmeal.
That hurt. That hurt.
Coming up next, some Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
Rachel Bell graduated from Cal State Chico in 1997. She's been a columnist, a DJ, a freelance writer, a restaurant critic, a food writer, an English teacher in Japan. And now she says she's living her dream, meeting people from all walks of life and telling their stories.
Living the dream right now. Right now. Doing God's work.
Yeah.
So, Rachel, you have introduced us to some really incredible people over the course of your time here. Who were you most surprised by?
Most surprised by? I guess I actually am probably most surprised by myself because I've done a lot of stories that maybe I wasn't so into, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be boring. And I get there and I'm like, this is awesome, I love you. And I leave and I hug people that I thought I was gonna hate. So I actually do think that I surprised myself. One of the coolest stories I got to do was go up into the sky in a World War II fighter plane with these pilots who were in their 80s who hadn't been in the plane since World War II. So. I'm serious. So we all went up, and it was these little old men, and one of them started crying, and I can't believe I'm in this plane, and it was so cool. I was so excited. Yeah. Me and my old people.
Libby Dinkman is the producer of The Ron and Don Show. She's a UW grad. She interned for Ron and Don briefly, spent 4 years as Dave Ross's producer.
Yep.
And she joined Ron and Don Show last October after a stint in D.C. with Adam Smith's office. Which is more shocking, how Congress works or how The Ron and Don Show works?
Well, I definitely, I valued my time in D.C. It's an amazing city, but don't stay there too long, believe me, because you don't want to see how the sausage gets made. It's just, it gets interesting. But no, Ron and Don have been so amazing since I got back. I mean, I didn't know what I was getting into. I had no clue. Dave Ross is just such a different show, and working with him was wonderful, and he taught me everything I know. But when I was thinking about coming back, and I called Rachel and I said, am I crazy to want to come back and be on the show and work with these guys? And she was like, this is the most amazing job I've ever had. You have to. You'd be crazy not to come back. And I'm just so grateful, and this show has just taught me so much, and these guys are like a family now. So yeah, it's been amazing.
And after that call, we had a pillow fight.
Little bit.
It was total girl talk.
Yeah. Girl talk. Girl talk.
Why didn't that wind up on the website?
I don't know.
Sean DeTore, on mic and off mic Sean. Trivia night host, pinata maker. He is the associate producer of the show, a regular on TBTL, the host of the Mixtape podcast on mynorthwest.com. Sean, what's your biggest challenge as the associate producer of the Ron and Don Show?
The biggest challenge? I don't know. Maybe getting up at 10 a.m. Yeah. I don't know. The biggest challenge for me is just trying to just learn something that I've had some experience producing several years ago, but nothing like this. So I'm definitely in it. So the biggest challenge is just learning it and trying to learn every aspect, because working with Libby and seeing what she's doing, it's mind-blowing because she has a lot to do, and so me coming in and trying to help her and take some weight off of her. I don't know how she did it before I came in, because I'm awesome.
Irreplaceable.
Right.
And now Sean and I have pillow fights.
We do have pillow fights.
It's a theme.
Yes.
So Ron and Don, you guys do a lot of Cause Radio.
Hey, Larry, can I jump in here just one moment?
Moving on.
Do I have a choice?
Moving on.
Can I just ask one question? Because Sean wanted to ask the ladies tonight. He's looked a little frumpy at the last two crots, and so he put on a mind-blowing, really tight red shirt tonight. Where did you get the shirt, and what do you ladies think of the shirt?
Me?
I think the shirt's unbelievable.
Why are you petting me?
It's unbelievable.
Okay, first off, when Don first sees me, he says, "Hey, that's a mighty tight shirt." And I'm like, you know what? I put on a few pounds, and I'm trying to lose them. Thanks a lot, Donald.
Hey, Sean, why don't you get up and show off your shirt?
Let's see. You guys want to see the shirt?
Little spin.
Where'd you buy that shirt? It's
Here
unbelievable.
he is, Sean DeTore.
Hey.
Nice, Dan.
There he is.
Sean DeTore.
What it costs, dollars and cents. And for guys out there that are jealous of all the ladies screaming at you right now, where can they buy that shirt?
By the way, thanks, Mom, for screaming at me. She is in the audience. What? Hey!
The DeTores.
Is it your mom's birthday?
By the way, no, look, okay.
Is it your mom's birthday?
No, so even with a week's notice from my uncle, I forgot my mom's birthday, May 20th. I did, it's true. So I was hoping that maybe everyone here could just sing happy birthday to my mom. Her name is Liz DeTore, if you don't know my last name. So everyone, let's sing happy birthday to my mommy.
Happy birthday to you, Liz DeTore.
Happy birthday to you, Liz DeTore. Happy birthday, dear Liz
DeTore.
Happy birthday to you,
Liz DeTore.
I hope that I'm still in your will.
All right, so
booyah! Let's move on, Larry. I'm done.
By the way, the shirt was $199 at Goodwill. All right, anyway. And that's not $199. Larry?
So you guys do a lot of KIRO Radio. Do you remember like the first time you started to do that and realized the power that you guys had in raising money and helping people?
You know, as far as KIRO Radio goes, the cool thing is we've worked for companies in the past that didn't let us do KIRO Radio. And the cool thing about Bonneville is they say a couple things. Carl Gardner, who just came out here, vice president, says, hey, number one, every day, try to get some ratings, and the ratings have been great. So thank you very much for that. Number two, we have phenomenal advertisers, and they're here tonight. And so they make sure that we can be on the radio. They write checks, and we really appreciate that. And don't forget right now, have you been to Mercedes-Benz of Linwood? Or right now, you can get a car, an ML, for $10,000 off at mblinwood.com, mblinwood.com. Just to work in, a proud sponsor. And John, we appreciate that you're here. And Terry, how are you? And it's great to see your wife. But nonetheless, we have worked for radio stations where they said you can't do KIRO Radio. Here they said you must. And without going into specific stories, the thing I love about this company, the thing I love about KIRO, and you may not know this, we are owned by the Mormon Church. And what the Mormon Church tells us, and I don't think anyone up here is a Mormon here tonight, but the amazing thing about the Mormon Church is they say, go make some money, do your best to get ratings, but at the end of the day, go out into the world and do something good. And they pay everyone on this stage and everyone that you've seen here tonight, they pay us a week's salary to go anywhere in the world and do whatever we want to go out and to help people. They pay us a week's salary. It's a week off. Go somewhere. So every year I go down to New Orleans, Louisiana, and I help rebuild homes down in New Orleans, Louisiana. We have never worked for a finer company, and it's because we don't answer to Wall Street. It's because we answer to Bonneville, and Bonneville says, go out into the world, do greater good. So whenever there's time to jump in and buy a couple burial plots, because we want to make sure that their dad doesn't get buried next to them, and you know who I'm talking about? We want to make sure that Josh Powell wasn't buried next to those two little boys. So what did you do? We needed 22 grand. You gave us 150 grand, and so now we own every burial plot in that cemetery, and we now know that every time a child needs a place where we lay them to rest, it'll be in that cemetery next to those two little boys, and their father will never be near them. That's KIRO Radio. Bonneville International allows us to do that, Larry, and we're really appreciative about it.
Ron, you were talking about how you guys were driving around, listening to the radio and going, we could do better. What were you guys doing before you did radio?
I was working for the city of Bellevue like when City Hall used to be on the other side, and in the Parks and Recs department, working with teenagers and doing a really bad cable access television show. And
Ron, that's not fair. It wasn't bad. It was horrible.
It was horrible.
It was horrible.
And really bad's an overstatement. Don was in the car business. And so...
Anyway, back to Ron. And Ron came and sold cars for me. And Ron, tell him about the little red Miata you used to run around Bellevue in, because you look phenomenal.
I
in
do
a little red convertible Miata. Ron of the Ron and Don, 6'2".
I do look good in a Miata. That is true. Absolutely.
Anyway, we sold some cars, and that's where I ran into a lot of auctioneers. We'd buy cars in Florida. We'd send them up here to Seattle. Been exposed to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of auctioneers. And I will tell you this, John Curley is the best auctioneer in America. He is the best auctioneer in America. Ladies and gentlemen, the best auctioneer in America, John Curley.
Anytime you say John
He paid
Curley's
me to
name,
say
he
that
appears.
$100. Back to you, Larry.
Tony, what's the most memorable story you've covered?
You asked me that last week.
What was the least memorable story you ever
there
covered?
have been plenty of those.
Ladies and gentlemen, the best auctioneer in America, John Curley. Let's hear it for John Curley. John Curley in the house in the Easy and up in her.
Actually, the most memorable story was what happened to John Curley's face.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring out John Curley's
John
face.
Curley.
One of the worst faces in America, John Curley's face. John, where'd you go? Oh, no.
No,
we lost him.
I mean, we've covered a number of huge breaking stories, and we've won a bunch of awards for doing that. But for me, it's the individual people I meet who are making a difference in the community. It could be a child at Children's Hospital fighting cancer, some moms in a neighborhood fighting drug dealers, or those kinds of people really making a difference, going above and beyond in their own community. That sticks with me a lot more than it's an individual big breaking story.
Rachel, how much do you look for stories that you like versus what the listeners like versus what Ron and Don want?
Yesterday I made a statement which was, I do whatever I want. I kind of do whatever I want, but I get my story ideas from listeners and from Ron and Don and from things that I read. But I kind of, when I walk around or I drive around, I've been doing news for maybe about 10 years, and I just look for stories without meaning to. So, I mean, I do these kind of light stories a lot, but they're stories about people, like, you know, the guy that does the murals outside Easy Street Records, or the guy that drives the milk truck. Like, I just notice things, and that's, I guess, my inspiration. And the fun thing about my job is that I get to meet people that are doing awesome things in the community, because we do see a lot of bad news, and there are so many amazing people doing creative, amazing things where we live that I know that I wouldn't have met them or heard about it if I didn't have this job. So it's really cool to see all of that stuff going on.
Libby, these guys get fired up about certain stories. How do you know if a story is going to be something that they're really passionate about?
I mean, it's so unpredictable because every day we fight it out in our show meeting. So it's just, I mean, one day Don will be like, you know what, I was in the park and I saw this thing and I want to talk about it. But sometimes it's a mystery too, because, you know, we'll come in and we don't want to talk it out ahead of the show, the actual on air. So sometimes it'll be like, I got something to say. You know, we're not going to go too much into it now, but we're going to bring it on air, and it happens. So it really depends. I mean, most of the time, it's about people who serve the community. So if it's anything about police, firefighters, the military, I mean, these guys care so much about the people who sacrifice for us in everyday life. So I know that those stories are going to, you know, be on top of our radar, but it can be super unpredictable, and sometimes we just want to lighten it up and have fun, and sometimes it's, you know, a personal story that one of us had from their weekend. So, yeah, you just never know.
Sean, what's the best part of working with Ron and Don?
Yeah, Sean, what is that?
The good one. If you couldn't hear, that guy said the end of the day.
Yeah.
The best part about working with Ron and Don...
We've rehearsed this.
The end of the day.
Right. No, I don't know. The best part is...
They paid for your Four Loko.
Yeah, they pay for my Four Loko. They pay for my Sugar Mamas. No, the best part of working with Ron and Don is just, over the years, we've developed a friendship, And so just going in there and not knowing what to expect. I love running the board and now associate producing, thank you. And I love
associate vice president in charge of production.
Exactly. I love not knowing what to expect. I just love showing up to a group of people that I genuinely like. And the best, you know, just like Folgers, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. The best part of Ron and Don is just going to, I don't know, it's just going to work and hanging out with friends. And
In your cup.
Ron and Don in my cup. I don't know, it's kind of a hard question to answer because I've never actually thought of like what the best part of, you know, working with Ron and Don is. It's kind of like everything. You know, just...
Crot officially just got weird, Larry.
It did. And emotional.
Don,
Should we have a pillow fight?
No.
What?
Don, there are certain stories that really rile you up.
Pillow fight.
What happens if you find yourself getting outraged?
Well, you know, when I used to get outraged, I would get outraged. But what I've learned is we can channel our outrage, and there's 300,000 of us in the Ron and Don Nation. Maybe the things that we get outraged about, maybe we can do something about it. And so I believe this, and my grandfather taught me this, that everybody wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and somehow, there's sometimes we just don't know how. So tonight, think about this, the Fisher House, right? Do you know that there are children tonight staying in Motel 6s? Their daddies, not to be heavy, but I think this is important, and it's why we're all here. It's why we're all here. There's daddies and mommies that came home from war that got a leg and an arm blown off in Afghanistan or in places like Iraq. And no matter how we feel about the war, we want to make sure when these warriors come home that we do something that we didn't do during Vietnam and that we embrace them, right? As a result, they come back, and let's say that you live in Boise, Idaho. Madigan Hospital isn't in Boise, Idaho. It's right here. And so you want to learn to walk again? It typically takes a soldier, an E5 soldier, or a Marine that went over there and came back. It takes them over a year to get the prosthetic and to learn to walk again. And in the meantime, the best thing that we can do for them is make sure that their kids, for instance, or their mom, their dad, their grandmother, grandfather, whoever it is, that they are close at hand and that they are loving on them at all times. And sometimes the wounds are worse than that. And the thing that I love is that collectively, you pay $10 to sit in this seat. Some of you have been so generous tonight to sit in on the John Curley show, and why you'd want to do that, I don't know. Have we sold that yet?
No.
That's a show that's impossible to sell. So good luck when the auctioneer comes out and tries to sell that darn thing. We'll figure it out. Anyway, it's so amazing that you came tonight, that you're paying some money. It's not a lot of money for a lot of us, but collectively, it's a lot of money to build the second Fisher House. And what that means is these little kids that love their daddies and mommies, and they went off to war and they missed them for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months. Then they come home and daddy's missing a leg or mommy's missing an arm. They have a place to go and stay. And the Fisher House 1, which I've been to a couple of weeks ago, is an amazing, loving place where these kids really get loved on, and they can love on their soldier, and they can love on their daddy and mommy. And the cool thing is, collectively tonight, we're going to help build a Fisher House 2 by being here, right? And it's $10. And you think, what's $10? $10 is a lot of money, because collectively, 300,000 strong, we all throw in $10. We can build that second Fisher House, and we can make sure that a kiddo who's 8 years old is not staying in a Motel 6 tonight, but they're staying in a Fisher House where there's older people there that love and care about them. They can stay with a brother and sister, and they can make sure that mommy and daddy get better. And being outraged about that doesn't help. But being mad and angry sometimes and then channeling that to do something for the greater good. We can't help everyone everywhere, but we can help someone somewhere, as my grandfather Charlie told me. So we're going to help Fisher House 2, and that's why you're here tonight. That's why we're here tonight, and we're going to build that damn thing, Larry.
All right. Tony Miner, have you ever thought about what you might be doing if you weren't doing radio?
Oh, yeah, every day. I spend a lot of time on the water on my boat Starfire up in the islands through the San Juans and Gulf Islands and points north. And if I could turn the Wayback Clock way back, I probably would do something on the water, be some kind of captain, maybe maybe one of those Deadliest Catch boats. I always watch that show and say, oh, come on, Sig, don't do that. You know, fire that chump, you know, so I could do that a lot better.
But what about your velvet baritone? It'd be put to waste.
I could talk on the VHF radio. So that, or I want to run the coolest little tropical beach bar in the world. And my favorite one right now is in the British Virgin Islands on Joost Van Dyke. It's called the Soggy Dollar Bar. Yeah, I want to buy that bar. You anchor off the beach and you stuff your money in your pocket and you swim in and then hang up your money on clothespins and it dries in the sun. And it is the coolest place. Google it, Soggy Dollar Bar in the British Virgin Islands. I'll do that maybe in the next few years.
All right.
Hang on, you want to own a bar and you don't drink?
I may start drinking again.
All right.
Hey, Ron, what drives you to do this every day?
What drives me to do this every day?
Your Prius from
What's that? My Prius from Toyota Puyallup.
Yeah, what drives you, Ron?
Right now for 51 miles a
I've
gallon.
got jokes all night, folks.
Yeah, she's here all week.
I think the thing that drives me is I recognize that this is a great career. Like when I see people, especially like a guy that's mowing the median or something, I'm like, not that there's anything wrong with mowing the median, but I feel so grateful that I have this thing. And really, the only skills that I have are being a smart aleck and being curious. And so there's really not another job where I can use those two things. And I really am genuinely interested in most things. It drives my wife crazy. But like if at the last KIRO event, I met a guy that made airplane wings. Now, I talked with him for like 20 minutes on how he makes the airplane wings, and finally he's like, you don't really care about this? Like, no, this is really interesting to me. And it is. Like, I can sit there and be interested about a lot of different things. And so the variety is what I like the most, and it drives me. And I really feel like we can be a companion to a lot of people that drive. Like my dad was a traveling salesman, and so he would drive for hours, and I used to sit there and go, wow, Dad, you had to drive 400 miles today. He's like, oh, it's just part of the job. And so he would do that every day. I watched him do it year after year after year. And so if I can be a companion to someone like my dad that's just logging the hours, man, he'd log the hours, did a pretty crappy job, and made a life that was great for me and my brother and sister, that makes me feel fulfilled.
Plus, look at his face. I mean, that's not going to be on TV ever, and neither is mine.
That's a good point.
That's why we're here, Larry. We truly are faces made for radio.
Now, all of you end up on the air, even Sean and Libby. Is there anything that you've ever regretted saying, like you just wish once it was out of your mouth you could take it back?
Yes, it just happened a couple weeks ago when I said that Sean tried to ask my sister out. That was a huge mistake.
Wait, you regret that, or you're saying that
I regret that. Listening back to it, I felt terrible. So the other day when Sean befriended my sister, my twin sister, on Facebook.
I regretted it so much, I'm going to retell it.
Well, I'm just trying to clue people in. He included a little note that was sort of flirty and sort of asking.
Yeah, right. And it all goes back. Should we go back? Let's go back in time.
Okay.
So it all starts with the Carly Rae Jepsen song, right? Call Me Maybe. Some guys on internet made some cards with the chorus, and her sister helped me make the cards. And her sister said, hey, well, let me know how it goes, because I was going to hand them out at Sasquatch.
What does the card say?
The card is the chorus of the song, hey, this is crazy, but I just met you, so call me maybe. Here's my number, so call me maybe. So my number's on there with my name.
And so then my sister
she legitimately said, or asked, let me know how it goes. So I was like, okay, I will.
Okay. And then you friended her and said, maybe I should give Libby my card so you can call me maybe.
Right. So I said, hey.
Which is a great line. I have to give it to you. It's a great line.
No, it's great. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. I said, hey, things at Sasquatch didn't go so well. Blah, blah, blah.
You're my fifth choice.
You're my fifth choice? That doesn't want to go out with me, baby. And so then Libby said something to Dawn.
I get this text from my sister, and I immediately said, oh my gosh, I think Sean just asked my sister out. And it just...
Your sister was like floored. Your sister was like... well, it was very subtle. What I asked her, it was very subtle. It was subtle.
Hold on a sec. So are you saying that Sean is not dating material for the Dankman girls?
Right, you don't want me
What are
to
you
be
trying
your
to say?
brother-in-law, do you?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I think it surprised her, and then she texted me, and I made the huge mistake of saying something about it on air, because then afterwards she was so
Well,
mad
you didn't
at
say
me.
something on air. Dawn said something
Well,
on air.
I know as soon as I tell Dawn anything, it's going to go on air. Immediately.
Yeah, he's stirring the pot.
This is horrible, Libby Dankman, that you would say this in front of Sean's mother on almost her birthday.
That's right.
Who we just sang to. This is unbelievable.
No, but it is hard
All
because...
right. So, Rachel, have you regretted anything? I'm moving
This
on.
moment.
I think I forget those moments on purpose. I put them away. The hard thing is because we actually are friends and we hang out. Sean and I were playing electronic battleship at the park just last weekend.
That's very true.
So things happen and you tell your friends about them and then all of a sudden they bring it up in the air and you're like, what are you doing? No! Like, they'll bring it. I mean, I one
Right.
time said, do not bring this up. And then it's like, hey, Rachel, how was your date on Friday? I'm like, what?
And it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, initially,
Yeah.
I can only speak for myself. Initially, it's kind of like, F you, man. But then you might listen back to the segment or, you know that you're all friends. And friends pick on friends out of love. You know, like, if I don't like you, I am not going to joke around with you. I am not going to give you a hard time. But if I like you, I'm going to give you a hard time. But speaking for myself, people that have brought you up on air with stories that maybe you aren't expecting. Back to you, Rachel.
I'm pretty
What?
much done.
Tony, have you regretted anything you've said on the air?
Well, you got to know when you work with Don that if you say
It's so
something
true.
to Don, it could wind up on the air. I just happened to mention to him that my wife had just finished reading 50 Shades of Grey. I mentioned that to Don. So, of course, on the air he says that, and she was listening at the time. I had no idea what the books were about. She didn't tell me she was reading them. And so she was a little bit hacked off of that.
Tony told me the next morning, though, he had a phenomenal night.
Well, there is that.
So
There was that.
there seems to be a theme here. Ron, have you ever told Don something that you wish you wouldn't have?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I agree with Rachel. You try to put things that you wish you wouldn't have said out of your mind as quickly as possible. Because if you dwell on that too much, in all honesty, it paralyzes you from being transparent or being vulnerable. A lot of what we do is not comfortable per se. It's revealing, like the thing that makes good talk radio or talk radio that people connect to is you have to reveal something about yourself that's not really, like the other day I was talking about the guy that had killed those sex offenders up in, was it in Bremerton?
Port
Angeles. And I've revealed stuff about myself that I wasn't proud of. Like there was a part of me that didn't really feel bad about that. And I talked about it at length on the air. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of the way I do that. And if in my mind I'm thinking avoid scenarios where you're going to want to take stuff back, then I never would have said that. But I think when you're willing to go to that place and say, this is what I really think, even though I'm not proud of it, those are the moments where I think people go, wow, that was really honest, and I kind of think that way too, and I'm not proud of it either. But so I try to not, if I say something that I regret, I try to move it away as quick. It's like missing the slam dunk, and you don't want to sit there and go, wow, I missed that easy shot. I missed that easy shot.
Let me jump in here and cut Ron off. This is the first time I've ever cut him off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, ever.
Anyway, Ron revealed something to me one day that he's really proud of, and he was standing on a scale, and he's looking at his feet, and he said, I might have the most beautiful feet of any man on earth. And I don't know if Ron will show you his feet right now.
No, I didn't
But
say
I
that,
will
of
tell
course
you
not.
this. He has some of the most, I think they're the most beautiful male feet that I have
really
ever
wanna
seen.
see
I
them
totally
now.
agreed with him. And somehow, some way, I got a copy of that picture. And how it ended up on my Facebook, I have no idea. And how he tweeted that out, I'm not sure. But anyways,
I got a lot of fan mail on that picture.
yeah. Anyway, Ron Upshaw, the most beautiful feet in radio. And for once, You know, I was complimenting you, and you didn't like the compliment very much, which I think is ridiculous. Would you guys like to see his feet?
I'm not taking my boots off, please. We'll do it in the post-game show.
Anyway,
All right.
the most beautiful feet in all of Seattle radio, Ron Upshaw. Wow. Let's hear it for him right now.
Yeah.
They are unbelievable.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is the cast and crew of the Ron and Don Show.
All right.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Thank you.
Once again, please welcome to the stage Mr. John Curley.
You gonna sell that chair? Huh? 1 second. Great back. Hang on. All right, here we are. Let's see. Is that Husky or Cougar fight song in the background there? Can you hear that? Is that Huskies? There we go. Thank you. That's all you get. Here goes. This is the Ron and Don Show. I don't know if you ever heard of these guys before, but this is your opportunity to go behind the scenes, go in the studio, hang out with Ron and Don, and watch Don take off his hat, yell at Don the whole. Let me explain how this works. If you ever watched them on the thing, how it works. Ron sits the whole time, which Don doesn't like, and he has the sound effects machine in front of him so he can have the rim shot and everything. And then Don stands. Don stands the whole time and talks constantly, and then every once in a while points at Ron, and then Ron has to come in, and he cuts him off, and he keeps going. And that's the way it goes. And then they bring T. Miner in. Libby sits there the whole time. So here's your opportunity to go behind the scenes of the Ron and Don Show and experience. There's an exciting bidder. There's
$100 right here.
Exciting bidder right there. That guy.
Let's start the bidding off with this attractive guy. $100.
He's very
$100.
Here we go.
Give me Dom, give me more. $100.
100. You get a 100. 100. You get a 100. You get a now 200. 200. You get a 3. I got 200. You get a bit of that 300. You get a bit of 300. 3 in the back. I got 300
back here in the back.
400 here. This guy's like, crap, they're bidding me up, and it's 300. You get a 400. You get a $400. I got 300. You get a 4. Got 300. You get a 4. 300. You get a 400. 400 here. At 400. Hey, there's the money you saved by not buying that stinky Luca Burbank show. Good for you. At 300, bid 4. There's 400, you get a 5. At 400, you get a 500, you get a 500 now. At 400, you get a 5. At 400, bid 5. 400, you get a $500. 400, you get a 5. 400 here, you get a bid 500. Don does not like to lose to anybody. Right now, Don, you're $400 behind. You're $400 behind the morning show. 400, you get a 500. 4, you get a 500. You get a 500. You get a 500. You get a 5. At 500 here. At 500. You get a 5. 500 here. From 600. 5, you get a $600. At 5, you get a 600. 600, you get a 600. At 5, you get a $600. Once, twice, everybody else in. 600, 6. 600, you get a 7. At 6. 600, you get a 700. From Wilcox Farms, right here, the Wilcox family. 600, you get a 7. You get a 7. That's going to be worth at least $100. 600, you get a 7. You get a 7. You get a 7. At 600, you get a 7. Once, twice, $700. At 7, you get a 800 now. At 7, you get a $800. At 7, you get a 800. Bid 800 here. At 7, bid 800. 800, you get a 9. Now 900. Now you get a 900. 800, you get a 9. 800, bid 9. You get a 900. 800, you get a $900. Once, twice, anybody else in? Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Sold it right there. $800. Nicely done.
Rock on, Greg.
Back up on top. 2 mic drop. Mic word. There you go. Heading out. You can do that mic drop. All right, here we go. This is my show. Oh my God, hang on. If I'm ever there.
Can I just remind everybody before they bid on your show that John only has 9 years, 362 days left. So just out of pity, if we can...
That's true, Dan.
Okay.
True. Inappropriate at this point, but thanks. Thanks a lot for the reminder. Okay, I always like to sweeten the pot, and so what I'll do is I'm going to do my show, plus I'll give you a night at a hotel with whoever you want to go with, not me, and dinner for 1. It'll be awkward for a little while. Now, I'll get you dinner for 2, Sullivan Steakhouse, and spend the night in a fabulous hotel in Seattle, so you can mix all that in there. That's on some night that I happen to be doing my own show. Okay, so you ready to go? Ready to go? By the way, According to Men's Health magazine, if you travel more than 30 miles from home, cover your ears, youngster. You travel from home 30 miles from home and spend the night in a different room, the chance of having nookie goes up 82%. So just thought I'd share that with you. Okay, here we go. Ready, set. My show, dinner, hotel. You can stay for 5 minutes, act like you care, and then go have dinner. You ready to go? 100, 100, you get a 100, 100, you get a 2, 200, you get a back, and 300, you get a 3. Now you get a 300 here, got 200, you get a 3, $300, 300 here. At 3 bid 4, 4 to the back, you get a 400, you get a 500. At 4, you get a 500, you get a 5 now. I got 4, you get a 500, you get a 500. Got 4, you get a $500. I got 4, you get a 500, 500, you get a 500 now. I got 4, you get a 5. Forget the dinner in the hotel. You're not getting any of that now. 400, you get a 5. You get a 500. 4 to the back, you get a 500. You get a 5 and $400. At 5, 400, you get a 5 and you get a 500. 500, you get a 600 now. At 5 now, 600, you get a 600. 5, you get a $600 hip. I got 500, you get a 600. 600, you get a 6 here. And 6 here, you get a 6 here. You get to see somebody? Where? Oh, there you are. Wilcox Farms. With the eggs, 600 here, got 600, you get a bit 7. At 600, you get a bit 7. Do me a favor, you guys will wear some fresh clothes before you come into the studio. Will you? Right? Thank you. Thanks, that's nice. Keep the shoes outside. 600, you get a bit 7. At 6 bit 7, 7 to the back, 7 to the back, 7 to the back, 7 to the back, 7 to the back. 700, you get a bit 800 now. At 7 bit 800, you get a bit $800. Come on, come on. Wilcox Farms, come in. We'll constantly talk about eggs the entire time. At 7, you get a bit $800. At 7, you get a bit 800. Got 800, you get a 9 now. Now 9 to the back, 9 to the back, 9 to the back now. Now 9 to the back, 9 to the back, 9 to the back now. Now 9 to the back, 9 to the back, 9 to the back now. At 800, you get a $900 now. I'll tell you what, buy it for $801 just so I outsold Ron and Don. 801, 801, once, twice, anybody else in? It's all yours. Wilcox Farms sold it right there. Whew. Okay. So, Sullivan's Steakhouse. Bring your own eggs, Sullivan's Steakhouse, and we'll get you a nice hotel for you two crazy lovebirds, okay? From out there in the country. Oh, yeah, the Dory Monson Show. Let's sell the Dory Monson Show. The Dory Monson Show. Is Dory Monson and the rest of the crew are coming out. By the way, we want to thank Jody and Mike Land from the Fisher House. Jody, the manager of the Fisher House, is with us tonight. Jody and Mike Land from the Fisher House. Where are you? Somewhere in the room. Thank you very much. Thanks for the good work that you do every single day. Every single day. Here we go. Dory, you ready?
Hey, John.
What will they see when they go behind this? They pull back the curtain like Wizard of Oz and they get a chance to see what would it be like?
There's nothing like the magic of seeing somebody sit in a radio studio.
Yes.
It's really special.
It is magical.
That's all I got.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's really going to hurt. All right, here we go.
You'll see Jake, though, too. Jake.
Yeah.
Jake's not here now. You'll see
Jake, who, when we did the Are You Hot app, got a perfect 10. And this is not a lie. Ursula will support this. I got a 0 on the Are You Hot app. Jake got a perfect 10. So you will see Jake Skorheim when you're there.
Up close, up close. All right, here we go. Ready to go. Dory is much taller on the radio. Just thought I'd share that with you. Here we go. You ready to go? $100, you get a 100, 100 to the back and 200 down, 200, you get a 3. I got 2 of them. Come on, all you angry conservatives, where are you? 300 to the back, 300, you get a 4. At 300, you get a $400. At 300, you get a $400 now. At 300, you get a $400 now. 400 here at 5. 500, 600, 600, you get a $600 hip. 600, you get a 7 now. 600, you get a 7 now. 600, bit 7, 600, you get a 7, you get a 7, you get a 7. You don't really believe he's born in Hawaii, do you? 600, you get a bit 7, you get a bit 7, you get a bit 7. 600, you get a bit 7, you get a bit 7, you get a bit 7 now. 600, you get a $700. 600 here. Welcome to the auction. Good for you.
We've got
700. What?
Cookies for this show, too.
Cookies for the show.
Absolutely.
700, you get a bit 8. 7, you get a bit 800 to the back. 800 to the back, you get a 900 now. You get a 900, 900, you get a 900. Got 800, you get a 900, you get a 900, you get a $900. I got 900.
Hey, question. What did Ron and Don get?
What?
How much did Ron and Don get?
800.
Yeah!
Dory's a little competitive. 9, you get $1,000. 1,000 to the back. $1,000. 1,000, 1,001, 1,002 now. 1,001, you get $1,002. Now you get $1,002. 1,002, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004. Now you get $1,004. 4 to the back, 4 to the back, 4 to the back now. 1,003 now, 4 to the back, 4 to the back, 4 to the back now. 1,003 now, 4 to the back, you get a 4. 1,004, 1,004, 1,005, 5. Now 1,600 now. 1,005, you get $1,006. 1,005, you get $1,006. 1,005, you get $1,006.
What did Ross and Burbank get?
800.
Yeah! Yeah!
Down 5, you can do down 6, down 6, down 6, down.
Now I'm fired up.
Down 6, down 6, down 6 now. Down 5, down 6, down 6, down 6 now. Once, twice.
Whoa.
I got it.
Quick question.
Down 6 and back.
Good question.
You're killing the mojo. Down 6, now 7. Now down 7. 6, now 7. You can do down 7. Now 7, now 7.
What did John Curley get?
801. Shut up. Down 7, down 7, down 7, down 7. 7-bit 8. 1008. 8 in the back, 8 in the back for Dory Monson's
What
wife.
did Curley get?
1008. Once, twice. Anybody else in? Right here. $1,700. Ready? Sold it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Husband's
Thank
like,
you.
All right.
That's,
Woo! Thank you very much.
Who's the winning bidder?
sir, I know you're like.
Where's the winning bidder?
Right there. The lady looks happy and the man looks sad. Right there.
Thank you so much. Great cause, too.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you.
John Curley, everybody. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Larry.
Now, please welcome to the stage the cast and crew of Seattle's Morning News. Linda Thomas, Bill Radke, Tom Tangney, reporter Chris Sullivan, and traffic reporter Kimmy Klein. All right. So,
Hi.
Are you all right there, Sully?
Hello.
Step on the
One's the
wide
bad
part.
chair.
Where do we find these chairs? I mean, to God, this thing is going to break, isn't it? I mean, seriously.
We rigged it for you.
I put the heavy guy in the bad chair. Nice. Well done. Thank you.
Bill Radke, the host of Seattle's Morning News, was at NPR for quite a while, hosting Morning Edition, Rewind, Marketplace Morning Report. In 2010, he joined KIRO as host of Seattle's Morning News. So I've been hearing you and Ron go back and forth on the air about a song that you may sing, that he may play. What's going on with that?
Have you guys heard this? Back and forth. So what happened is, many years ago, I wrote a song about summertime in Seattle. And I thought, well, you know, I'll break it out. I'll play it on the morning show when it gets hot and sunny. A day for which I am still waiting. But when it really, you know, when it really hits you, like the forecast is the sun for days. So I asked Ron, who I knew played guitar very well, would he play guitar for me on this thing, and we'll record it and we'll play it sometime. And he very nicely brought along his axe and worked it out with me. And then I found out that we were going to come here on the first day of summertime. So I emailed Ron and said, hey, you want to play it on stage with me in Bellevue? Yeah, you would think. I haven't gotten to that, the next chapter. So then, after I emailed him, the next day I turned on Ron and Don, which I listened to on podcast at 2:30 in the morning. And I heard what I found out, that's how I found out that Ron doesn't care for my song, which is a possibility I had never considered, of course. So now I feel like he's sort of in an awkward, he and Don have been working out on their show. What is the etiquette here? Like, he doesn't really, it's not his cup of tea.
He doesn't like show tunes.
He doesn't like show tunes. It's sort of show tuning, yes. But meanwhile, I haven't really, this has all been playing out on the air. He hasn't told me that he's not coming, so I keep waiting. I'm assuming any moment.
Is Ron back there?
He's going to run out with his guitar.
I didn't see his guitar.
I haven't seen his guitar. No. That's the weird thing. I haven't seen his guitar anywhere in the green room. So
I would like to hear the song. Anybody else want to hear the song?
You know, I don't have a guitar. I would be singing it a cappella.
You'll be pitch perfect.
Okay, this is the song as I remember it. When it's summer in the Puget Sound, and at last the sun it shines, there is joy and laughter all around as it glimmers in the pines. But instead of curling up inside with the novel you just bought, you must take a walk or a ferry ride, whether you want to or not. I hate the sun. I hate the sun, because we're so seldom in the light when we finally get the chance to see the sun so warm and bright, we just wet our pants. And it's not enough to admire the view of the mountains against the sky. You must drive your car for an hour or two and hike until you die. I hate the sun. I'm scared of bears. And it's not enough to lie in the grass and enjoy how good the sun feels. Instead, you've got to haul your ass to Green Lake and strap on wheels. And it feels like I'm being grounded, forced outside to spend the day there. Well, I'm tired of being hounded. I just wish the day would turn to gray and stay there. I hate the sun.
What does Ron Upshaw know anyway?
Well done. Very nice.
Good job.
Thank you. It's a little show tuning. He's got a point.
Yeah. Linda Thomas joined KIRO first in 1988 as a night editor. She was a very successful freelance writer for several years, and then she returned to KIRO in 2010 as anchor of Seattle's morning news. Under the name The News Chick, she has over 20,000 Twitter followers. Any in the house?
Woo!
Yeah.
Is that a lot?
It's still a fad.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely a fad.
Linda, what kind of stories motivate you to get up so early in the morning and get to work?
Like 2 o'clock, which
Yeah.
is the time we have to get up tomorrow. Well, just
5 hours and counting.
And if you could put it into a song.
Yeah, if I could only think of a song. I hate the night. I hate the night. No, I love what I do. I love journalism. For me, it's a little bit like standing at the edge of a river with rocks that you throw every morning, wondering where the ripple's going to go. What rocks am I going to pick up and find and throw? So it's all about the stories and knowing that I'm having some impact on people. And that's addictive. It's what I love doing. It's what I've done for 25 years. I can't imagine myself doing anything else but journalism.
Wow, you sound like a poet. We've got a singer, a poet. I don't know what I'm going to be doing.
And a movie guy. Yeah.
Movie guy, yeah.
Tom Tangney joined KIRO in 1994. He's been an editor, an award-winning film critic, and is now co-host of Seattle's Morning News. How did you make the leap from off-air to on-air?
Very incrementally, actually. I mean, I've been there for 17 years. I was always an off-air kind of guy. I always would talk in the newsroom, but I didn't. Radio wasn't in my blood. I didn't grow up in the profession. I came to it relatively late in life, in my 30s. So I never really thought of myself as a radio professional. I was a news guy. I was a news junkie. I loved to think about the news and talk about the news and everything else. When Terry Rose was the movie critic at the time, and when he retired, we just didn't have any movie reviews. And I love movies with a passion, so I walked into the news director's office at the time and just said, listen, I don't know if you've got somebody to fill in, but I'd love to start doing it in the interim. And she said, go for it. I did it all on my own. They didn't pay me any extra. It was just like, it was a chance for me to get on the air. And that was my very first time on air. I loved it. I kept doing it. I eventually turned that into a regular gig on the morning news. Then Dave Ross used to have me on every Friday, still does actually, talking about movies. I was on TBTL a lot. I love Luke's show. And then Ron and Don always would hear me talk about politics. That wasn't my field of expertise, except that I was a natural-born news guy. And so they suggested that I go on their show. It was during the Tea Party movement. I guess it was in 2010, and they said, why don't you come on as our political analyst? And most people were saying, no, Tom doesn't have any standing. And they said, we don't care. He's entertaining. I went on the air. It's supposed to be about 15 minutes. I didn't stop screaming at them for about an hour, had an absolute blast. And after that, I think the program director at the time said, we might get you more on the air, and now I am.
Hey.
And having a blast.
Kimmy Klein was born and raised in Puyallup, graduated from Puyallup High School, ended up in radio while working for a college rock station, KGRG in Auburn. From there, Jack FM, KPMS, and KISS FM. Graduated from the UW with a degree in sociology. That's the most anybody's known about you ever. Because
well, thank you.
We just hear her in the plane every day given traffic. Is Seattle the only place you've ever worked?
No, actually, I married someone else in radio, and he got a job. What? What are you shaking your head with?
Bad career choice. Seriously.
Well, I moved to San Francisco for a little bit, and I actually did traffic down there too. Holy cow. Way bigger than Seattle. Really hard to memorize all the Spanish words, and El Camino Real, Los Gatos, San Pablo. I'm here from here. I know all the Indian names and everything, so I just it was really hard to do. But anyways, we really missed Seattle, and very last day we were there. Out of 260 whatever days it was sunny, it rained, so it was kind of, you know, I think it was a sign that I was meant to be back here, and you know, wound up on KIRO, and I love it.
So Katie from Bellevue wants to know, do you just get in the helicopter and sit there all day?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? That I'm there all day long. I take a lot of naps. I'm a huge fan of napping, so that's what I do in the middle of the day. I swear I don't work all day. I'm not up there all the time. I'd have to really limit my liquid intake because I'd have to do that anyway.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as a fellow napper, that's a problem.
Yeah, I know.
So Chris Sullivan grew up in Portland, graduated from Notre Dame, joined KIRO in 2004 after spending 13 years on the air in Portland. What's one of the most memorable stories you've covered?
Well, tonight, without a doubt. I mean, I think probably one of the stories I'll take to my grave that I remember the most was when I moved up here in 2004. I was this hotshot guy from Portland, you know, big fish in the small pond down there, been there for years. Ursula had been after me. She was the news director at the time. Finally, she's like, either you come up here or I'm going to stop calling. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll come. So I was on the air like 2 weeks, and there's a story going on. You guys probably seen this. It's a popular TV technique where 9 hours ago something happened, but yet on the 11 o'clock news, there's some guy going, okay, back behind me in this courtroom 12 hours ago, but you don't know that because it's dark. There's something that happened, and I'm here. We call it a live shot for live shot's sake. It's really just to go, it's either be in the building or be outside. So you go outside. Well, there was this guy, drug dealer, down at the Akeene jail, which is a small jail down in Kent, not the RGC, the Regional Justice Center. And so this guy had escaped. He'd somehow gotten out during his court hearing. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, it happened around noon. I was working the afternoon news show at the time, and so they're like, go down there, see what you can dig up. The story's kind of over. Tony wants you to be live down there in the afternoon to make it sound like we're still all over this story. I'm like, okay, Tony, whatever. I'm the new guy. I'll do whatever you say. So I'm down there preparing. I'm like, God, there's nobody here. All the TV crews have left. The story is dead. The police have said he's been gone for hours. What am I doing here? Okay, it's about 5 to 5. My live shot's at 5. Out of the corner of my eye, I see this woman, I think, shirtless, long red hair, kind of hobbling down the street. And I'm like, that woman has no top on. Who am I talking to? What? That's the dude. That's the guy. I'm like, I call 911. I'm like, I don't know where this is because I just moved here. It's Kent. I don't know where Kent is. I'm from Portland. You know where the guy broke out of jail earlier today? We're near there, and he's running down this street south of there, okay? I gotta go. So I call the station. I tell the editor, who is now for some reason our news director, obviously this was a good career move for him, I'm like, put me on the air right now. And he's like, who is this? Like, I'm Chris. I'm the, what? Let me talk to them. I'm like, no, put me on the air right now. You know that guy we're looking for? He's running down the street, and I'm chasing him. And he's like, what? I'm like, put me on the air. And so he does. And so I'm chasing this guy down the street, which is kind of embarrassing because he's outpacing me, and he has no shoes, and he's handcuffed behind his back. I mean, I'm not the most unathletic guy. I'm a pretty athletic guy, but I'm a big guy. So we're chasing this guy through complexes. I'm on the air huffing and puffing, saying, he's here, he's there. We lost him in the parking lot. People are like, he's over there, he's over there. And so we chase this guy into an apartment complex. He breaks into a house. It turns into a standoff. And he finally gives up. And if I hadn't have been there sitting on my butt for Tony, trying to make something out of nothing that happened 12 hours ago, then who knows if the guy would have gotten out. But we caught him. He got out, and now he's in jail. I mean, I'll never forget that. Woo.
Yes.
Chris Sullivan, radio reporter, crime fighter.
I mean, Phoenix Jones has nothing on me. I didn't even have a cape.
Do you realize half a day later, some TV reporter's going, 12 hours ago, this radio reporter was chasing this.
You know how hard it was to be interviewed by TV reporters, so what were you doing? I'm like, I don't care. I'm trying to do my job. What are you interviewing me for?
Wow.
That's
fun,
amazing.
I'm still here after that, surprisingly.
Yeah, surprisingly. Bill Radke won the 1992 Seattle International Comedy Festival. Did you know that?
True.
Yep. What do you remember most about that experience?
About the experience of winning it?
Yeah.
I remember that there were talent scouts who I never heard from.
You must have sung that song.
I'm still waiting. Where's the record contract?
They're all friends of Ron Upshaw.
Yeah, Ron's got it. He's got the contract.
Ron got it. And I remember my family was there, and I remember it was in the place in Belltown, the Moore Theater, and we got driven up in a limo, and I remember actually the memory that's more vivid than winning it was when I got into the finals, because that's when I was alone. And I drove around and around in the parking lot of a mall in Bellingham. It was like the Elephant and Castle in Bellingham, because the competition would move all over. And I was by myself driving in circles, whooping. And by the time I won, I was like, oh yeah, I expected I would. I had to play it cool with my family, And
do you remember one of the jokes that you used way back then?
Tell us a joke.
Oh God. It was stories. So it was one story linking into the next. Everything was wove together. So if you've got 20 minutes, let me tell you.
Linda, you introduce us to new people every day, remarkable people, brave people. This week you introduced us to a woman who was molested by her father, which is a real tough thing for her to come out and talk about. Just 2 weeks ago she admitted it to her family. How do you get people like that to open up to you?
That was tough. I mean, this is a woman who was abused sexually by her father from the age she thought maybe around 5 or 6, all the way up until she was a junior in high school. I get people to tell me their stories because I convince them something that I absolutely believe is true, that their stories have value, and someone hearing that is going to have their life changed by their bravery. So I never write out questions ahead of time. I just listen and respond to what they're saying. I tend to be empathetic, even though Bill and Tom will disagree. I tend to be very empathetic toward people. I can be nice, right, Tom?
Yeah, all the time.
All right. I have him trained so well. I'm still working on Bill. I've got Tom down.
Tom, people love your energy and enthusiasm. Is there ever a story that you just can't get excited about?
Almost never.
No, there's not.
I mean, the thing is that...
Were you in the same show meeting this morning?
No, the thing is that I really think somebody sent me, I've been occasionally now with Cisco Morris as the gardening expert on our show, and I know nothing about gardening and I don't naturally care about it, but I love Cisco Morris. And so when I knew I was going to have to talk to him every week, I asked him to give me, to assign something to me to study up on, and I learned to love it. And I'm learning all sorts of fascinating things about plants and insects and garden pests and the like. And the thing is, the key is the more you know about something, the more you'll appreciate something. And I really think that's really the essence of anything. Listen, there was a TED Talk, maybe 6-9 months ago, where somebody asked this guy, I forget now what his specialty was, but he was some PhD, and they asked him, how do you increase pleasure? We all are after pleasure in life, happiness in life. How do you increase it? And he says, study more. Now, I think a lot of people would just dismiss that as an academic, BS, but that's exactly what I feel. If the more you know about something, the more you give into something, commit yourself to something, the more you'll appreciate that. The more you give, the more you get, and that's why there's hardly any story out there that's not worth getting excited about.
Cool.
Absolutely true. Everything.
Yeah.
Kimmy, you have the unique experience of reporting from the plane. Can you take us inside the plane? Like, what's it like for you? What do you see? What do you do?
It's really small. And the first thing that people always ask me is, what's it like being in a helicopter? It's not that glamorous. It's a plane. Sorry to let everyone's fantasy of what happens down. But it's really small. I don't know the plane terms, but it's a small Cessna. It only sits maybe 4, but all my equipment takes up 1 spot. I sit in the back seat. I got about a 22-year-old pilot or 3 that I have to trust to, fly with every day, but they're really good. And we just fly over the freeways every day. We try to do the routes different and the main roads, and I try to watch everything and check Twitter and everything else, and it's a lot going on. It's really bumpy up there, really bumpy. So if I ever sound really just kind of, that's because that's what's happening. So yeah, it's pretty intense, but it's fun. I wish I had a better camera. I'd take more pictures and tweet them, but I don't know, it's great.
Chris, where do you get your story ideas?
Twitter.
I steal them
Right,
from
Chris?
Linda. Whatever Linda doesn't accomplish, which isn't much, I take her scraps. I'm like one of those moray eels that just sits on the bottom of the shark. Just take her leftovers, pretty much. It's true.
No.
No? Okay.
You've got great ideas.
I read a lot of really, really, really small community newspapers. I'm not kidding, because there's a lot of really kind of local, hyper-local stuff going on in our communities that translates to just about every other community there is. Also, I take a lot of things from my life. I've got a lot going on. We all have a lot going on, and you guys who like to listen to us have a lot of the same things going on in your life. You've got kids, you've got mortgages, you've got that neighbor who's a pain in the ass. You've got all those things that you deal with, and those aren't any less valid than the quadruple shooting or the thing that shock us and you need information on. These are things about our lives that we can share our collective kind of misery or joy or whatever it is, and you find a way to tap into something that's important to you, and then we try to make it important to you because you're the people we're trying to serve. And if we can find things in our own lives, because we are basically you, and that's what I look for. Whether it's my kid's baseball team or the fact that I'm getting no sleep because his practices last until 10 o'clock at night, or I'm tired of the guy getting on my butt because his kid isn't pitching and he should be. You've been there. And those are the things that, they're just as valid to talk about as that one-alarm structure fire in Kent in an abandoned house that makes for a great TV story because you can see it driving on 167 on the way into work, but doesn't really impact anybody. This is our life. And we're sharing it with you because your lives are important to us. And so that's what I find as a way to try to find things that will relate to you.
Rapid fire. What is the one thing or the two things that you eat or drink every morning to keep you going? Because you guys work weird shifts.
Well, I've just started. I went to the doctor and my cholesterol's high enough, so now every morning I eat steel-cut oatmeal, which is supposed to be the best thing to drink, and then lots of water and almonds. So that's my diet every morning.
I used to be addicted to Diet Mountain Dew until I did a story about how it's the same ingredients as like some kind of like lighter fluid or something, and
isn't it flame retardant?
Yeah, that's it, flame retardant. Yeah. I'm like, oh man. So I gave that up. I'm drinking water. I live on the energy of Tom Tangney in the morning. I just kind of absorb some of that. I know. And his steel-cut oatmeals.
And I drink straight flame retardant. I need it uncut.
At the middle, man.
My wife works at Starbucks, so she gets what's called a mark-out, which is every week she can't get it at the headquarters in Soto where she works. She has to go over to the nearest Starbucks, and they give her a free package of their Via instant coffee. So I drink my free Via, and I pour in. I don't like to deal with milk that you have to put in the company fridge and it gets sour and where is it, and somebody drank my milk. So I get made fun of for bringing in what appears to be anthrax but really is powdered milk, and I dunk that in my free coffee and trail mix.
I'm like Dory.
Did I just gross people out? Is that gross?
Powdered milk, that's tough, man.
Do you see why I live off his energy? Yeah.
I couldn't survive. None of us, I've never been a coffee guy, and I've been doing this shift for, 13 years now in a variety of places. Don't drink coffee, but I'm like Dory, Diet Coke fiend. I throw that stuff down like it's going out of style. And then I realize I just don't eat during the shift. I might eat something, then I'll go 4 or 5 hours because I've realized that I never know when something's going to happen. They're like, Chris, we need you to go somewhere else. And if I've just eaten and I need to, maybe visit someplace along the. I don't know when I'm going to find a bathroom again, so I never eat. I find that.
Wait a minute.
I find that at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I haven't.
Are you telling them you don't eat in the morning?
Generally, I eat from time to time, but then like there'll be like 5
you
hours
are
have
always
gone
doing
by.
a Subway run. You
Well,
had
that's
sandwich
after
in
the
your
show.
hand
After
this
6
morning.
hours of not eating, I'm like, oh my God, I'm starving.
Do not lie to these people. I'm just saying.
Well, okay. Well, I'm just saying at 4 o'clock in the morning, don't eat. Should eat lunch at 8, don't eat. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, geez, I better eat something. So I just don't eat and drink Diet Coke.
Kimmy, do you ever like land the plane just to go through a drive-through, or?
Oh, sometimes I wish there were drive-thrus up in the air. If I could invent one, I would. But I drink, like, the mornings, I'm like Bill, I drink a Via, but I make it really strong and really little because I can't drink that much fluids. Because otherwise we'd have to stop at the Auburn and Tacoma Narrows Airport all the time, which is a really pain in the butt. But it happens. And I probably drink like a half of, not a 5-hour energy, because those get really expensive, but I go with it sounds really stupid. I go with the generic off-brand that I get at a grocery outlet for 99 cents, and I drink a half of one of those in the afternoons, and hopefully, because I don't want the whole like 8 hours, I just want 4, so that'll do me good.
Tell me your most rewarding experience in radio, each of you.
Wow.
I have stolen a phrase. I have stolen a phrase from Linda Thomas, which is that you live in the eternal present.
It's because I have a bad memory.
She has a bad memory, is really what she's saying. But my mind always goes to this morning, Sky Lanterns, which was just, it was in your newscast, and I just turned my head like, what, Sky Lanterns? And we started talking about Sky Lanterns, and did you put Tim Hake on that story, or Dan did? And
yesterday he was asking Tom Tangney, Tom, you're the movie guy. Do you know about Sky Lanterns? I'm like, wait a minute. They just had those on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. There was a wedding. And so, yeah, I told Tim about it. And
it's these beautiful, they light these things and let them go, and they soar away, and they glow, but then they're a fire hazard.
Yeah.
And fireworks are legal in this county, but Sky Lanterns aren't. And we had this audio of someone saying, bag on fire! And I know it's not the most important thing, but it's those moments when I can learn something and I can smile. And I think, yeah, that's a good start to my day. That's what I like.
You thought Sky Lanterns before my Seattle Mist story?
You were on my second on my list to get to, and I wanted to yield
talk
the
about
microphone.
important big news. The
Lingerie
Seattle
football.
Mist.
I know.
No?
That was good. It was good.
I don't know. I would have to say I had the fortunate experience, despite the subject matter. Ron and Dawn lived through Hurricane Katrina. I got to go down and cover it immediately right after, within hours of the aftermath. And I would say the most rewarding thing that I will probably ever do in this business is what we did in the hours after Hurricane Katrina down there when we got down to Baton Rouge, because that was the closest place that had power. All the radio stations were gone. I mean, there was there was nothing out of New Orleans. So what all the radio stations decided to do was forget their call letters, forget their petty gripes, forget the ratings, and we all banded together, Entercom, Clear Channel, all these companies who hated each other, and created this one radio station that sent out a signal that covered from Houston to Alabama, covered the entire area. And we were their one and only source of information. And for the first time in my career, and probably unless, God forbid, that something like that were to happen here, I actually felt that what I was saying on the air was saving somebody's life, was giving them information that they needed that could save their life or get them to a loved one that they hadn't seen to know that they were okay or not. I felt like I was actually giving information why this whole thing was created in the first place, why this medium was created, was to provide you with vital information that you needed. It wasn't fluff, it wasn't the fun stuff we do, it was stuff that they needed to live that next hour. You know, what's open, where's water, where's evacuation? This person just sent in this note from there, and this was before Twitter, and it wouldn't have worked down there anyway. And I don't think I will ever have an experience like that again, where I knew that what we were doing was having an effect on millions of people and how they were able to ride something out. And I don't think I'll ever experience anything like that again. I hope I never have to, but it was pretty amazing to do that.
Wow. In our final moments, I would like Bill Radke to read his KIRO poem.
Yeah. This is
Bill reads a poem every Friday on the morning news.
Yeah, I wrap up the week's news. So in this one, I wrapped up a day on KIRO as I hear it. Okay. My day starts at 2 a.m. I clear my head, I clear the phlegm, I pour the coffee, make the toast, and turn on KIRO's Coast to Coast. Saucers fly, psychics heal, Elvis lives, Bigfoot's real. Kind of fun to be nocturnal. 4 a.m. now, Wall Street Journal. Asian markets, Europe's debt. My show hasn't started yet. 5 a.m. now, morning news. Linda's features, Tom's reviews, great reporters, Kimmy Klein, keep you well informed till 9. Right before that, Luke comes in to give the Ross and Burbank spin. Drive-by wisdom to the masses, magic message, colored glasses. Dave will argue, Luke will scoff, and then it's time for knowledge off. All right, liberals, that's enough. Dory Monson, do your stuff. He'll mock the foolish, stick to his guns, and go one-on-one with... The nuns. Today's sign the end is near is that Ron and Don are here. Gentlemen, your engines start. Blue light shining in their heart. Ring my bell, top 5 at 5. Why wouldn't you listen while you drive? 7 p.m. time for Curly. Late to you. To him, it's early. Politician, auctioneer, you gotta listen. Gotta hear. The king of the amazing story. Solo hosting, just like Dory. This is 97.3. We're your FM family. Your Northwest. Local, live, and on stage in the 405.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, Seattle's morning news. I'd like to invite the entire 97.3 KIRO FM cast out again. Dory Monson, Luke Burbank, Dave Ross, John Curley, Ursula Reuting, Dan Mitchinson, Ron Upshaw, Don O'Neill, Rachel Bell, Tony Miner, Libby Denkman, Sean DeTore, Bill Radke, Linda Thomas, Tom Tangney, Dan Restione, Chris Sullivan, and Kimmy Klein. Big hand. Thank you very much for coming here tonight and helping to support the Fisher House. We really appreciate that. And we appreciate you, spending some time with us here tonight and every day on the radio. There's one last part of tonight's show, and that's we're going to invite you on stage. We're going to lift this curtain behind us, and we can all hang out, and you can ask your questions that maybe weren't asked here tonight. You can take pictures and meet your radio family. So thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Good night, Bellevue.